I see that so many people waste their life existing. They're in a place where it's not too good, it's not too bad, and they kind of settle. And we don't live very long. A lot of people in the corporate world, they get stuck in this thing, they're going to move up the career ladder. But the reality is they're one of many thousands or hundreds of people that work for a company. Are they really making a significant difference? And it's almost like I want to shake them, and like get in their face and say, look at your life. Is it what you dreamed of? Is it what you really wanted it to be? There was no way for me to access it. I couldn't become a stockbroker. I couldn't become an investment banker. I didn't go to university. I wouldn't be allowed in these companies. So my only route was to become essentially a commission-only salesperson who was a business person within a business. I had the infrastructure. I had to go and find the client. And she said to me, what do you do? I said, I'm a salesperson. And she looked at me and she went, why did I have to meet a salesperson? And I was like, what do you mean? She said, maybe an engineer, a lawyer, an accountant, an investment banker, a doctor, somebody who's going to be somebody. And in that moment, it really frustrated me. And I said to her, you work for an architectural firm. Are there people in your company that find clients for your firm? And she's like, yeah, of course. I said, so those people find the clients. Imagine if those people didn't exist in your company and you had no clients. How would your salary get paid?
Spencer.
Yeah.
Are you ready to unleash?
Let's do it.
Now.
Let's do it.
Spencer, I want to ask, what is the source of your positive energy that you have had? I saw you many times in many events. I saw you in Najah events. The way that you are going in the stage, the way that you inspire people and connect with people is really contagious. What is the source behind this?
I look at things like when you hear this term, optimist, and you hear pessimist, and you hear something old people say, which they say, I'm not a pessimist, I'm a realist. And I look at it and I'm like, if you're not optimistic, everything apart from being optimistic is quite negative to me. So it's almost like I don't have a choice. It's my duty to be optimistic. And then when it comes to kind of motivating or inspiring or kind of getting people out of their comfort zone and doing stuff, is that I see that so many people waste their life existing. They're in a place where it's not too good, it's not too bad, and they kind of settle. And we don't live very long. And it's like, if you settle and you stay in that place, that kind of like that, a lot of people in the corporate world, they get stuck in this thing, they're going to move up the career ladder. But the reality is they're one of many thousands or hundreds of people that work for a company. Are they really making a significant difference? And it's almost like I want to shake them, and like get in their face and say, look at your life. Is it what you dreamed of? Is it what you really wanted it to be? When you were 18 years old and you said, my future's going to be this, did you sit down and say, my dream is to be a chartered accountant? My dream is to be a civil engineer. Well, when we were kids, we never had that dream. My dream wasn't that as a kid. It was to be a fighter pilot. My eyes weren't good enough for it, but that was the dream, or a professional footballer or a movie star or whatever it is. What happened to those dreams? What happened to that? All of this kind of like these walls were put up in front of us, or we created our own stories to tell ourselves why we either weren't worthy of that or why we couldn't have that. Or we were told by others, your dreams are too big, stop with those dreams, get an education, go and get a job in the corporate world, go and work for a proper company because that's the best thing to do. And I find that really sad. And so I feel I have a duty and a responsibility to just shape people to realize that, guess what? You can have anything you set your mind to. But if you talk yourself out of it, it's going to stop you.
I'm really inspired by the job that you're doing. And just curious to know, how did you start, make it happen? How did you start this one?
Make It Happen was a company that was born out of my frustration. I love sales. I really love sales. I think there's a buzz in sales. I think when you make a sale, there's you get in the car after you've made that sale and you're like, yeah, and it doesn't have to, I remember when I was in my early days of sales, it didn't have to be for a lot of money. it was like you won something. I'm sure like scoring a goal if you were Mohamed Salah as a young person, you know. It's like that feeling of achievement was really powerful to me. And so what I've seen over the years is that a lot of people get into sales by mistake or by accident. It's like they failed at being the engineer or they failed at being something, and so they fell into a sales role. And then they fail at sales because they've been led to believe that selling is about personality and communication and character and, you know, and spirit and spunk and all that kind of stuff, yeah? Well, sales isn't about that at all. Sales is about a bunch of skills you need to learn, just like any job, and then finding ways to solve problems. Because if you can solve people's problems, you make a sale and they have a problem solved. And so for me, it was like a really attractive part of business. And then I realized that every single company on the planet, if they had no sales, they wouldn't have a company. So you see these people looking down their nose, oh, you're a salesperson. And it's like, well, hold on a minute. I met this girl in this bar one night in London when I was young. And she was beautiful. Honestly, she was beautiful. Dark brown hair, big brown eyes, olive skin. She was just stunning. 3 hours, I think I looked at her until eventually I had the courage to go and say hi, you know. And she said, what took you so long? I was like, oh, you know. And I was only young. And I asked her what she did for a living, and she was a receptionist in a architectural firm. And I asked about her family and her hobbies and her interests. And she said to me, what do you do? I said, I'm a salesperson. And she looked at me and she went, oh, why did I have to meet a salesperson? And I was like, what do you mean? She said, oh, you know, maybe an engineer, a lawyer, an accountant, an investment banker, a doctor, somebody who's going to be somebody. Mm-hmm. And in that moment, it really frustrated me. And I said to her, you work for an architectural firm. Are there people in your company that find clients for your firm? And she's like, yeah, of course. I said, so those people find the clients. Imagine if those people didn't exist in your company and you had no clients. How would your salary get paid? And she looked at me. I was like, seriously, how would your salary get paid? If there's no money coming in from the sales being made, how have you even got a job? So maybe you should look at salespeople a bit differently and realize that they're the backbone of business, because businesses always survive if there's money coming in. They may not be the best businesses, but they'll survive if there's money coming in. No business survives if there's no money coming in. And that for me was what was important. So that was the beginning of my journey of working out what I was going to do to help other people learn how to sell.
The question now, when you started your career in sales, how did you build these skills? I see you, the authentic power that you have, how you speak, how's your energy? Was it like that at the beginning?
Yeah, because I was surrounded by those types of people. My boss was high energy, super optimistic, hardworking, and my boss's boss was the same. And so while I was learning to be a salesperson, I worked in office equipment. So photocopying machines, and back then fax machines. And my bosses were teaching me all of the habits and the skills you needed to use. But you would go in the office in the morning. I mean, this is how intense it was. Training started at 6:15 a.m. So for the trainees, we had to be in the office for 6:15. Otherwise, they'd lock the office door. If you came at 6:20, you weren't coming in. And you'd go into that training session from 6:15 to 8 a.m. every day, an hour and 45 minutes every day, 5 days a week. And we were taught product, sales process, sales scripts, telesales, objection handling, okay, closing, okay, all of these different techniques you needed to learn, we were taught them. And then we role played them every single day. So every day I was looking at someone like you, as we are right now, and we were role playing different parts of the presentation. And that was being taught to us in a way that it was enabling it to go into our subconscious. And when it goes in your subconscious, it sits there. You don't need to think about it. It literally belongs there. And so you can bring it up at any time without going into your conscious mind. It's just who you are, what you represent and what you stand for. And so, and again, I was in an environment where there were people earning lots of money. And I was a kid, you know, and these guys were earning like money, like proper money. And I was like, whoa, I want a piece of that, you know, because there was no way for me to access it. I couldn't become a stockbroker. I couldn't become an investment banker. I didn't go to university. I wouldn't be allowed in these companies. So my only route was to become essentially a commission-only salesperson who was a business person within a business. I had the infrastructure. I had to go and find the clients.
I think that you were gifted, if I say it like this. But if I'm just a person, normal person, and I want to build this skill of sales, what would be your advice?
First of all, understand it's a skill. And don't think it's not. Don't think it's something you can learn by trial and error. Sales is a skill, like a really defined skill. Just like studying to be a lawyer, a doctor, they're skills-based roles. So take it seriously, take the learning seriously, take the professionalism of it seriously. You know, I created an online training course called the Make It Happen University. That university has 400 videos in it, teaching people everything they need to learn how to sell. But the problem people have is that they say things like, yeah, I'm not a salesperson. I'll never be a good salesperson. It's not me, you know, I'm not that kind of person. And okay, it isn't. But selling isn't about rah, rah, razzmatazz. Selling is about systems and processes. But then when you think about everything else, that's the same for everybody. Systems and processes. Not everybody says the same thing when they sell, but they have a process that they follow. And that process they follow, they learn. If you've got systems and processes, you can exceed in sales. But it's just getting people's mindset away from selling is negative, it's bad, it's cheesy, it's cheap, to this is the backbone of a business. And you see so many solopreneurs or startup businesses where you've got these people that have got great ideas about how they're going to do this and do that and then build this and build that. Well, it doesn't matter how great your idea is. If nobody's buying it, it's a waste of time, isn't it? You know, I've got the best idea. I'm the Uber of this, or I'm the Airbnb of that. And it's like, yeah, okay. And even these startups that are tech focused, they've still got to sell their business idea to raise capital. You've still got to sell yourself at a job interview. Imagine, you know, when people leave university or school, they go for job interviews, they don't get the job. And they say, that company was shit, or that recruiter was horrible, or whatever. They make up some excuse,
Exactly.
No, you failed. Because somebody sold you on no before you sold them on yes.